call the meeting to order. First, if you please all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it's the first time I think for me doing this. We have the word reorganization. 2024.
Mr.
We need a
Chairman,
motion. Do we have a motion?
yes, I have to make a motion to keep the board members as they are, chairman, vice chairman, secretary.
So that would be me as chairman,
Mhm.
you as vice chairman.
All this.
Secretary. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also like to make a motion to our meeting dates and times, keep the meeting dates as first Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Except next month, it's the second. Thursday.
All is it?
Why?
I
Second.
don't know, it says February 8th.
Okay. Second, well,
Still,
the first Thursday?
That may be a calendar.
Well, February 8th is, I think February the first Thursday. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that's first Thursday.
So I already did a letter to somebody else today about our next plan commission meeting is February,
Right, the 8th.
and that's the first one.
the first Thursday.
No, it's February first.
No,
Yeah.
February 1st?
Yeah, it can't be.
So-
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's
Is
no way.
it February 1st? Look at your fancy.
I'm
no mathematician. All
right, so-
I'm telling you.
February first is the first Thursday.
Well, the motion is to
All right.
maintain our meetings on the first Thursday.
I'll second the
at
motion.
7.
Yeah.
So we have a motion
Well, it is the first Thursday.
and a second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Any announcement issues will be resolved as they need to be. Okay, so once we have public comment time, if anybody in the township, this is a period of time, if they have anything in the township they want to discuss, we ask to limit your
Oh.
comments to 2 minutes. Yes? Did I miss something?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody has any public comment?
I don't have any public comments. This gentleman is, Mr. Rumbaugh was appointed to your board too as an alternate, in case you folks weren't aware of that.
No, I think we covered that October meeting.
Okay,
Oh.
well,
You were reappointed.
No, they were.
okay. Well, is Mr. Rumbaugh a current alternate to our board?
Yes.
Is it?
Is he?
Yeah.
he just added his,
You can sit up here then.
Don Stokes still?
Come on.
Very long.
You have $5, you have $5 to sit up here?
There's a toll right as you come up the stairs. Mr. Rumbaugh.
Don Stokes,
You sit
Don
here.
Stokes still an alternate?
yes, number 2.
Number two.
You should have said, you should have said
Number
something.
1.
And he's number 2.
Correct.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Rumbaugh.
I'll introduce myself later.
I see you.
Good to meet you.
You go on my, yes. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. Okay, so I'm hearing no public comment. We're gonna move on to. We have a meeting minutes from October 5th. Everyone had a chance to take a look at the meeting minutes. Yes. Any questions or comments? No. All right, we have a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motions are approved. I mean, minutes are approved. I believe, is item 5 been continued, is that right?
At the request of Mr. Lonich to Mr. Kramer yesterday, I think it was yesterday, he requested that this matter be brought to the first Thursday at your next meeting, which I thought was the 8th, which I guess I don't know, it's New Year's still yet.
Yeah, that's right. We're all getting our feet under.
So I guess he requested a continuance, so it's be continued to your first meeting in February.
Okay.
And hopefully he has the plans here. Not,
Hopefully he does.
no, because I tell you what, I tell you what upsets me the most, folks, is when somebody comes out to me and says, here, take a look at this and tell me what you think, right at the meeting. I think that stuff, he needs to be here at least, should be here like 5 days at least ahead of time. to
That's
do
what
it.
we requested from them.
Well, that's what I'm gonna have to emphasize to him when I send him another email tomorrow, but I hate when someone says, here, look at something, and once you make a decision right there and then, okay?
How about I make a motion to do that? Have all these plans for anything that's on the agenda to be at this here 5 days prior,
5 calendar days.
5 calendar days prior to the meeting.
Well, I think, what do we have in there now when you're presenting an application? What's the time period before the meeting to get an
They
application?
had it in 14 days prior.
14 days prior. We don't have anything in there about revisions.
But
We talked about like ample time.
Yeah,
There's not an actual time constraint.
Is it emotional?
And again, 5 days,
5
5 calendar days.
revisions need to be submitted to the township
5
5 days prior, minimum of 5 days.
Yes.
I would say that the paper plans to have, for Scott,
It
to
really
have
needs
enough time to review that, it would have to be more than 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point.
Right.
Okay, Scott, how many days would you need?
You're looking at, then you've got 2 weeks. And then I get them, you like to have them on Friday before the meeting,
Paper plans,
you
yeah.
know, for me to have reviewed the resubmittal,
What do you
you
need?
know.
6,
keep
7, 8?
1 and 14
10
days,
days.
just like.
Yeah,
Right. Which
That it
they
continue.
gave the electronic plans slightly sooner because I uploaded those and Scott had them, but we got the paper plan set yesterday at almost 4 p.m.
Well, that's wait.
Right.
Yeah.
So for us then to try to get that.
Let's go to 14 days. I can do it in written.
So you're-
Revised plans.
So-
Then I can't comment, but then then I'm not commenting.
So you're
That would
making,
give us enough time to get them to you.
so your motion
Right,
is
but
that,
that's for initial comment. So I give them 14 days before the meeting. I take a day or two to give my initial comment, and they're already late. I comment, I give them a review letter, and now they're already late.
10 days?
14 days, like
Well,
it was normal.
So then you'd have to request that they get them the initial plans in. Yeah, a month before.
So the initial plans have to be here.
Initial plans are right now, it's
Yeah, it says.
it's 14 days.
Well,
That's in the
revision,
ordinance. We're not-
14
you
days.
Can't change that.
No.
All we can do is put in, we can make a motion to recommend
14
to
days.
supervisors.
14 days. To match the,
Well, no, but he'll have to review them and then you won't have time to get them.
You're adding too much to the cycle. If there's a problem with it at that point, whatever. But that was their first chance.
So you have to say when 14 days ahead of time,
If there's still a bunch of problems with it,
and your plans have to be first.
yeah, well, this is the point. The point is this.
Or it gets pushed
If they
back.
have to come back, they have to submit their revised plans within 14 days before the meeting. And your review has comments that they need to correct.
Right.
Then it is what it is. They come to us, we have your letter to point to. If they want to try and revise it again before the meeting.
Right.
And you haven't had a chance to review it, we're probably going to say, Scott, have you had a chance to look at this? No.
You're
We're not
not
gonna
officially asking me to have them 7 days, have my second.
We're just gonna tell them they have to have their revised within 14 days before the next meeting. What do you think?
that's
Yeah.
We
fine.
can recommend the supervisors consider
I'll
that.
change my motion 14 days.
Okay, so we have a motion
I'll
to make
second that.
a recommendation to the supervisors to add a requirement that
So if it's
revised
not-
plans be submitted within 14 days.
If it's not
prior to
complete,
the meeting.
that means they're gonna have to come the next month. Which
Correct.
is what we have right now. Or have right now.
All right.
here's the only problem, I just think we have right now. They passed that Act 65 of 2021, which says basically we can't add things to the agenda anymore. Unless, it has to be on the agenda 24 hours in advance.
Okay.
So why don't we just give direction to Jordan that he wants the revisions from Lonich to be here at least,
Anybody.
anybody.
Right.
And then we put this on the agenda for the supervisors at our next meeting. But give direction to him informally that they have this stuff 14 days, calendar days. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But we can't vote on it right now. All right?
That's,
Or
okay.
we can't make the recommendation.
We can we could give him direction, but we can't make a motion to do something.
No, I think
Go the
we're
direction
just
then.
making a motion for the supervisor, recommend the supervisors look at
To add that.
adding a
before they
14-day
do.
requirement for revision.
All right, I'll change my motion.
In
Not just the
general, not-
specific.
Yeah.
But that involves a pretty significant process to change that code, correct, Dennis?
Yeah, and they can say, no, I don't want to do it.
Just,
The supervisors can say they
We could
don't want to do it.
request it.
let's just say, Jordan, you're running the show in terms of these plans, correct? Just tell me what that stuff here, 14 days, then we can look at the code, you want at another day. Okay, so tell them they want the stuff, and anybody for the time, being,
Right.
okay, just leave it at that.
So we had a motion and a second, so we're gonna amendment to withdraw the motion.
I'll take that. Withdraw the motion.
Would you like something
All
on
vote
the
on
agenda?
second on that, we all vote? All right, motion's withdrawn.
Go
All
ahead.
right,
Do you want something on the agenda for next month to
Yes.
discuss this? That way.
Sure.
Yes.
Take action.
Dennis, draft this. See what he thinks. Okay. Sometimes we get ahead of you.
Got something to
All right, next item on the agenda is approval of subdivision for Schweinbraten Bus Company at 1196 Locust Avenue in the R3 zoning district. Is anybody here for the applicant?
Brian Fishbach, Mackin Engineering, represent Keystone, who actually performed the survey and prepared the subdivision plan for Schweinbraten. Also have Greg Kittredge, who's the son-in-law of the applicant. Essentially, it's a lot line adjustment and a subdivision line. We have 3 lots. There's only 4 estate plans.
Does Mr. Kittredge live in East Washington Borough?
Yes.
Good, Aaron.
Oh, is it, what you said, the family, just for the family?
Yeah, it's a family estate plan.
I thought I heard.
Get a chance to see the engineers review.
And I don't want to bring plans in front of you, but I have 3 copies from a client to sign and have notarized as the applicant.
Right along this fence,
And then to bring to the township for
because I haven't visited.
signatures. I think those are the
Yeah.
only-
I know that.
So the applicant is one that's for the,
Signature block.
right. And I haven't received any revised.
I'll send you a electronic copy of that. But yeah, we pulled them right from the back of the manual, so we took this for the
Yeah, they, in accordance with what's in the ordinance.
Well, they're online looking at it. Okay.
They're just not the correct current year ordinance.
Oh, you have it wrong. Okay. That's, have you revised them already electronically?
Yeah. I mean, I could provide them to Scott, I can search through my email for it, or I can grab 3 sets to show. that they are. I didn't view this as a major item. They're not signed by the applicant yet. And,
Anybody else have any questions about this? So what are we doing? We're removing a lot line?
Now you're shifting a lot
Shifting a
line,
lot line?
and then creating a lot line between the single-family residents and the, I guess there are 2 single-family residences, one that Mr. Schweinbraten lives in, and the other one which is the manager for the.
Everybody has access. We don't create any access problems.
No, they're already there. The driveways are already there, utilities are already there. There's a lot that's getting large. That's the bus company. Robert.
Any other comments other than what you saw in the letter? Size of the lots all look good and all look good. Okay.
That's just good.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody like to make a motion? Need more time?
I'll make a motion that we approve the subdivision for Schweinbraten Bus Company at 1196 Locust Avenue in the R3 zoning district.
I'll second that.
Discussion. By the way, this is preliminary and final. Right?
And you
Yeah,
recommend,
So we recommend preliminary and final approval. Right?
Subject to this.
Right. Subject to the engineer's comment.
So that's your motion,
That's the motion,
based
right?
upon the recommendation of the engineer, subject to his comments, correct?
Yes,
You made, first and second, you made that, correct?
All made that.
yes, I made that motion.
I second.
You know, that's happening.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Lombard, you are.
I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you have to pay $5.
Yep, different votes.
Good night, take care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda, we have consideration of Country Canvas Awnings LLC preliminary land development application for a minor addition of 72 Davis Road in the C2 zoning district. Is anybody here for the applicant?
I am.
All right, so can you tell us who you are and
Yes,
tell us what you're doing?
I'm Scott McCall, owner of Country Canvas Awnings. We're a local small business. We service about 1,000 local customers for their awning needs, taking them down, putting them up, refurbishing, making new, so forth. We're short on offices. We're all crammed into a little office. We wanted to put a little 10-foot extension on our current building. Gonna look the same, it's gonna follow all the same lines, gonna be within the setbacks. I think you all have a good bit of the information from the application. We've got bounced around a little bit. Our first inquiry, we were told we'd have a permit within a week. We ordered the building. We hear 3 weeks later that we need to submit an application, which we do. And then I hear yesterday that there's a whole nother laundry list of extensive engineering that is in the ordinance from, you're Scott, right? Scott. Yeah, I'm Scott. Nice to meet you. We talked on the phone. Yeah. So, I'm not sure exactly, I mean, if you all have any questions, I'm surely here to answer them. Do you all have Scott's letter?
Yep.
Okay. Most of these have all been done in the original site plan as far as lighting, parking, ingress, egress, all of that. We made a pretty good size accessory building in the back. So there's a recent survey that's just a year old that was professionally done. And we marked in where the addition would go. So I guess I would ask, I'm not sure of the proper term here, but if there's a way to have some sort of a waiver of some of these engineering ordinance
What do you want, wait,
spec. I don't, Scott, well, this list of things, the professional survey, we have a survey that's a year old.
So we can go through these.
Sure.
So what really happened is because it was the primary building and there was an increase of 420 square feet. Was an increase in the total lot coverage by the principal structure. So that kicked it into a land development plan. So then your ordinance has all these items that need to be done for the development plan. It does need to be submitted to Washington County. All subdivisions and land development need to be submitted to the county. The boundary survey's been provided, but it doesn't really even say who the surveyor is. So if you can go back to them, and just have them put their stamp on it. then it could
Whitmer
be-
Engineering?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it could be that I'm looking at a sheet 2 of 2 is what you submitted. So I'm guessing there was a 1 of 2 that may have been the actual survey itself. It may have called out a number of these items. It might be just a matter of adding in that sheet number 1 of 2 might be the actual preliminary survey that would show a lot of these surface features that are called out, that need to be called out for this land development. You know what I mean? Like what is on without seeing sheet 1 and 2, I don't know that maybe that would cover it. Maybe you already have that. You just need to submit it. Or maybe not, but that way there's no, it says Widmer Engineering, but it doesn't say, when I would do that, I would put my seal on it and say Scott Green registered surveyor, and then that would be covered. It might be just as simple as that, as far as that would go. And the name, address, certification, and seal, of registered engineer, architect, or landscape architect, it can be a surveyor, because you're not doing any major engineering on that. So that covers that as well. This first sheet may have a location map for it, just to show exactly where this site is within the township. And that could very well be covered by either a sheet that I don't have, but that's a pretty simple thing to do. It really doesn't say what the zoning is. And it shows lines that I believe are probably building setback lines, but they're not called out. It's just a dashed line that doesn't say anything. Again, that could be on your sheet. This may all be available, but I don't have it. So as I go through this list, I'm required to list all these things. The location area, well, where are the setback lines? How far are these setback lines? It needs to be able to say, what are all the setbacks? To make sure that it's on paper, that when you do this addition, it doesn't go over the setback line. I don't believe that it does, but that needs to be on the plan. How many parking spaces are here? You have a certain square footage of this building, and now you're expanding it. So it's in the ordinance. If you have so many square feet, you need so many parking spaces. They just need to be indicated on the plan. Again, that's just shown and they're just numbered on the plan. And that part's done.
The application was made here, what, November 28th, Jordan?
That's what we have as the date on it, correct?
It sounds like, it sounds like he's not ready to go. Is that what you're saying to us?
Right.
I don't know what point, so this came to the township manager and I maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think originally, like you said, they had thought that since it was such a minor addition,
Right.
that we were gonna just get a building permit. And then I believe our building code official double checked, the requirements and found that it actually triggered land development. So we got it then and then started to review it. We didn't have the meeting last month and got the info to Scott.
Scott's not recommending approval at this stage.
Correct. I'm not.
And we have, what, 90 days to make a decision? So that would put us into February. I'd like Steve approve. So we could either do 2 options. You can either make a motion to deny based upon the recommendation of the engineer, right?
No.
Or you can ask him to do it, ask for an extension. Because he's gonna take some time for him to do all that. Correct?
Yeah, but it sounds like Scott, you're saying.
It's
that
only
this-
60 days. Our next meeting's the 1st. That's 62 days from the application date. So
Yeah, so we're within.
we can continue.
It sounds like.
I know
some of that
Scott
may
doesn't.
have been done on your most recent, that other building that you built. We just might need the whole.
Yeah, it's an accessory building. You guys may be able to tell me more. The previous last year building was an accessory building and I don't remember any of this, all this land development stuff. These extra hurdles in here last year. It went through pretty smoothly with just what we submitted here.
But you
That-
said, what pushed it into the land development? What was it?
The square footage.
The size?
Well, there was an increase in the total lot coverage by the principal structure. And it's
Any increase, 1 foot would do it, right? So it's not the square footage. It's a very small addition. We're adding a couple offices to a small business. We've been working at this for 3 months already. We're here today. We're getting last minute stuff. If there's any way that the board can help usher this through, it would be greatly appreciated because it's quite frustrating.
I can see that.
We were told at first we would get a permit in a week, and that was 3 months ago.
You mentioned there was a change.
And we're getting last,
To the county.
yesterday news that we have all these other hurdles to jump through. The building was ordered based on word of mouth that the permit would be forthcoming months ago. And this is creating a hardship on a local small business. If there's any way to usher this through, it would be greatly appreciated. These the engineering may cost more than the addition. Yeah, so.
Scott and I were looking at this yesterday because, I mean, the township staff is all of the same, like, we hear what you're saying while also trying to ensure that we're abiding by the code. So, Scott, there was one provision that we were looking at wording wise, and maybe we're getting Dennis's opinion on it. You remember exactly?
Well, this is the wording. Is that the alteration resulted in an increase in the total lot coverage by the principal structures and or paving. Where you're gonna put on this addition, is there currently paving now?
There's gravel.
There's gravel. No. That's not an impervious surface. What we were talking about is if that was
Would
paved.
you like me to pave it?
It'd be cheaper to
We all-
make
I
it.
just had an asphalt guy stop in last week and ask me if he could. I should have had that done.
If you could have it paved and then remove the paving so that you just had done, so that you can put on this addition. You would not be, there would not be an increase. And this wording says total lot coverage. But when you go to the zoning ordinance, the concern is that you're increasing the amount of impervious surface. If you're taking out paving, put on a building, you end up with the same impervious surface. If that were to occur, then this language may be subject to interpretation.
If you even pave right,
What's that?
if you even pave right, it's kind of, isn't it too cold to pave?
Yeah,
You-
but we're asking, but we're just
Can't.
putting a hypothetical that we're gonna have him pave it so he can unpave it. Pave it so he can take it out. So he has, but he can't even, but no, you can't do that because if you pave it now, then you increase the impervious surface. So.
Catch
so
22.
If it had been paved, but it hadn't. So there's an increase in, and I think it's the total lot coverage. The concern is the impervious surface.
He's adding to the impervious surface and he's at his limit now, so by adding
Well,
to
he's
it.
not at his limit now, and he won't be at his, if he could build, he could put a much bigger addition on, and he still wouldn't be over his limit. But just the fact that he's increasing it at all kicks it into a land development plan. And then you gotta go through all the requirements for land development.
Because
That's
it's,
why we have this long.
As of January.
If it had been paved,
That's within here.
we could argue that he's not increasing the impervious surface or the lot coverage.
right now he is because it's gravel and he's expanding it, so it's becoming impervious by him covering up the gravel.
Yep.
What if we put a gravel floor in there?
Yeah, can't put a roof on.
Oh.
Well, we have a couple options of
You'd have
what.
to have holes in the roof.
A couple options of what we can do. For one is, I believe, we can recommend waivers in the Saldo. We can't recommend waivers in conditional use, but in the Saldo, I think we can. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
So I don't believe we can waive something completely out of the Saldo. So, but I don't know if that's true. We can't. I think we can waive certain requirements of the Saldo. I don't think we can cut it completely out. Which means I don't think we can waive the requirement to submit it to the county. I don't think we have the power to do that.
I don't think.
No, you don't. So what do you, Scott, what do you recommend here?
I recommend that I get sheet 1 of 2.
Excuse me?
I recommend that I get sheet 1 of 2 of this last submittal, because he did have a survey done. So So he needs to submit a lighting plan. Well, the lighting plan would just be, what is his lighting right now? You know, if they just call out, here are where the lights are. Okay, now we have a lighting plan and we're done.
On that same
We
thing.
we have a stamped survey, which could be on sheet number 1. Maybe that's where the surveyor stamped. And maybe we go back to them and say, hey, all we need you to do is stamp it. Then we've gone through most of this list. You know, if we get that,
So if he gets a light, he puts a lighting
all he
synopsis
has
on
to
his
do is just
thing
call out where the lights
and
are.
gives you a stamped or sealed survey or whatever. That's
Right.
all he needs to do right now.
And he needs, you know, what is this zone, you know, on this plan? What are the zoning requirements? You know, give me a table and say that the front yard setback is 50 feet or whatever it happens to have in here, but what are the side yard setbacks? And then how far off is this extension gonna be? Which, yeah, it says the addition will be 27 feet from the left side of the property. And then we'd be covered. You know, I don't think that there's actually a lot of engineering that has to be done here. To me, it's a lot of crossing T's and dotting I's. If you have to stay with
Scott, is it possible all of that's in the file from his last request?
That's what we're working on right now.
Yeah, so that would save you some money.
if I'm seeing sheet number 2 of 2,
Yeah,
and
that
I
makes
only have
sense.
one sheet, I don't have 1 of 2, so I'm not able
So
to.
we might even have.
And is that, that's what was in the file before, Scott, what you're looking at?
So Scott,
So we can go back into the previous in the middle and then pull it out.
so Scott,
This is our last agenda. Let's talk for a minute. It's only been an hour. We can handle this.
so Scott, I just want to, so if the board would make a motion to recommend approval, subject to the following conditions. One, the conditions are set forth in your letter,
Correct.
and then we should be fine. Did you hear that, Tom?
I did, so good.
So he said, so what we can do, and I don't have a copy of the plan in front of me, but if you want to make a motion to recommend approval of Scott's,
Based on.
this gentleman's, what's your name again?
Scott McCall.
Scott McCall's plan, subject to the recommendations of the township engineer.
Approval.
And I think you make a recommendation to the subject to his recommendation. But I'd like to have is, you know, just for record, somewhere attach that to the minutes or something.
Yeah, because we don't have that plan in our packet.
I don't have it either. I'm sort of lost.
Which plan?
We don't.
What you're looking at, Scott,
Yeah, you do.
Even
That's
this
all he has.
This you should have.
That's all he has.
Yeah.
Same thing you have.
is it,
That's
oh, it's
page
just
2.
shrunk.
It's just
Oh,
that, yeah.
Right.
Wall size.
Oh, it's just shrunk down. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, I blew my, yours is fine, I blew mine out.
So
Okay.
Scott, so you understand if they make a motion to recommend approval of your land development plan, subject to you completing the recommendations of the township engineer to his sole satisfaction. You know, you're gonna have to do that. You understand that? It's an approval, it's a approval that has conditions to it. And that approval doesn't consummate until you meet those, follow those conditions to his satisfaction. Do you understand
Sure.
that?
Yes.
Do you have to have that done by February 1st?
Well, if we're gonna move it on, when's supervisors meet? When are you gonna put him on the agenda for the supervisor?
Well, our next meeting is the fourth Tuesday,
No, it's the end of January.
fourth Tuesday of January.
Yeah.
Whatever date it is, I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's all, I mean, you'll have to find this page 1, put all that stuff on it, get it to them at least a week prior to the supervisor's meeting, so they have a chance to look at it, see, and then you have a shot.
You can have your guy talk to Scott too, and he can,
I can lead you through.
yeah.
Yeah, they can get
Engineer
you.
Whitmer?
Yeah, if I get the guy that did the survey, Whitmer,
Is
and
it-
you together, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's
As soon as possible, as soon as you
You
can.
both talk turkey.
Who's the engineer on Who's the
When's
engineer
the,
on Whitmer?
It doesn't even say,
Sadaka?
it does not say.
Whitmer?
Who do you deal with, Sadaka? Who are you dealing with, out of Beaver?
With
Whitmer is, they have an office in Beaver and have one in Uniontown.
Right, yeah, we're in
Which one?
Beaver. Yeah, they used to be in Washington.
Right, so maybe Sadaka.
They moved out, yeah,
They know what to do. You just, like you said, but yeah, you
and
know,
they should have the data and we
We
should
should
be able
have
to
it.
get it. And
And there's a lot of the data is in the ordinance and it's in the, you know, a lot of this is gonna come from the zoning ordinance. Where it'll tell you in C2. These are all your setback requirements. These setback requirements just need to get in the plan.
You can have your guy talk to Scott.
yeah,
Have your guy, as soon as you can
You
type,
have a number.
yes, I have your
Yeah,
email number.
Yep.
So
sooner
if
the
you
better.
I don't think he's gonna have to do a whole lot of work. This is pretty standard. Standard
It
stuff.
should
And
be
again,
somewhere.
It
Might be on
may
page one.
already be on the plan number one.
Page
Yeah,
This series.
Now, the county planning
Well, it's
commission that's
usually
involved, Scott, how
elimination.
much time would that take for him
Yeah.
if he has to transmit?
I can't speak for the planning commission, but generally, they just review it for,
Just
is there mining?
it's,
You know, they really don't do it technical. It's not
Just
Allegheny
something-
County. It's Allegheny County, it could be a while, but Washington County generally.
The
And
last
then with
few
that,
folks have signed
their
it.
review letter then be
Pretty
given to you to meet that condition then? That's the thing.
Specifically,
Township, I think.
specifically, the township should forward that to the.
That's what I'm wondering, how
This is
he has
something
to
to
accomplish
consider.
that.
Here's something to consider. In your ordinance, the exact wording is copy of the applicant's letter transmitting the application to Washington County.
yeah, we don't
So
need
really,
it
it's
now.
just a letter,
But,
But
but
that's, it says that the applicant is to do that, but when you read the MPC, it says that the municipality is the one that should be forwarding that to the county. And that's something to consider revising your ordinance. I just got a long list that it came from Allegheny County, but they pointed that out, and I looked it up in the MPC. and Allegheny County's right, and they told me they don't want an engineer to submit plans to the township and then have that same engineer submit different plans to the county. They want to make sure that they're comparing
the
apples
same
and apples.
thing.
okay. So then technically, really, like Jordan, we need to submit that letter.
Correct. For, really for any subdivision or land development plan. And I'd be happy to provide the NBC wordage on that for you. But then, so the letter of the NBC, that should happen.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you could send that to us, Scott.
You bet.
Okay, so what we can do, and I'll, or the chair will entertain a motion. So I can do it. Yeah.
I was gonna suggest that.
And,
So-
yeah,
Yeah,
that the wording is copy of the applicant's cover letter transmitting, it's the cover letter transmitting the application to the Washington County Planning.
yeah, it's not.
It doesn't say that they have to have it approved.
Hmm,
They have to
just
have
that it was transmitted.
Correct. So
And that's how we've always
that-
done it. I mean, the applicant's always done that, right? We haven't done it.
They do that throughout, that's the practice throughout Washington County.
And we see
That
the
would be
review
practice.
letter, like
It's
that's
practice.
been reviewed and
That's
approved, and I
correct.
guess that's what I'm wondering, do we have to have?
But that won't be, a good news is that shouldn't be a holdout as long as it gets to the county has it.
Yeah, all you need is a letter that you submit.
That's what your ordinance said, Jeff.
Okay, so we'll take a crack at the motion here. So we'll make a motion to approve preliminary.
Huh?
Here's problem number one.
Yeah.
The agenda says preliminary, it doesn't say preliminary and final. The application was preliminary and final.
And I think we're not allowed to add final to that.
Well, it's on the agenda.
It's only on the agenda as preliminary.
The review itself is for.
Preliminary and final? Okay, well, I want to make a motion that we recommend preliminary and final land development approval for Country Canvas Awnings LLC for a minor addition of 72 Davis School Road in the C2 zoning district subject to the engineer's comments. That should cover it.
Well, subject to engineers' comments and return to the township as an approved engineer's comments. So they know it got approved by the engineer. He's reviewed everything.
Compliance with. the-
Subject-
Well, it's, what we did the motion is subject to these comments, meaning
Okay.
we're recommending they approve it subject to these comments.
Right.
So if these comments aren't all addressed, the supervisors shouldn't approve it. So it doesn't need a second letter.
The approval doesn't consummate itself until he meets those
Right,
conditions.
it's subject to the conditions. If he hasn't met these, then
All right.
our
Okay.
recommendation,
Right.
then they shouldn't approve it.
How do you know that he's making the project?
We don't.
He's gonna have,
Will.
you're gonna have
The
to,
supervisor will know.
you have to send a correspondence to the township saying he met those.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, that's what I
Well,
was.
but that's what you're saying, subject to the engineer's comments and upon receipt by your township. We don't need that.
Nope.
All right.
Scott, we're gonna look, once we have better access to an iPad, but see if there's anything else. I searched Jim Sutter's email, which is who you dealt with last time, and the only image shown there is the same one that,
Okay,
Somebody got the first page.
well, we'll get a hold of Whitmer. We'll put them together with Scott. You guys should be able to.
Yeah, it gives you a crack at getting it
When
done.
is the supervisor meeting?
Fourth
End of
Tuesday of
Fourth
January.
Tuesday.
The fourth Tuesday. in January. So that means I have the third Tuesday to, we're saying get it in a week ahead of time. So
23rd is the 22nd.
Are these significant changes he has to make?
I don't think it's the 23rd. I need the sixth. I've got pretty much next week.
You gotta get on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can, we can continue, and you can come back to us on February 1st, and then you go to the supervisors a couple weeks after that.
Right.
It's up to you. This is giving you an opportunity. If you think you can get it all done quick, we can go with the motion we made and you can get it from the supervisor. If you don't think you can get it done, the best thing for us to do is continue it and have you come back on the first.
Yeah, I think I can. I'd like to try.
Well, we made the motion. I think it was seconded.
I'll
No.
second it.
All right, a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried.
Just so you understand also, once you get to this process, you have UCC issues also. Do you understand that?
Yeah, you gotta get a building permit and all that stuff still.
The mere fact they grant you this, the township, you've got uniform construction code issues and everything else. Do you understand that? You know what I'm talking about, uniform construction code?
he originated it with the building department, so they already have.
They already have a plan review.
He's looking puzzled when I say that to him.
Yeah, I just don't know the lingo that well as well as I
Okay,
should.
all right.
I've done a couple.
You got more steps to go after this.
So after this, we'll have like more meetings to come to?
No, you're
Yeah.
good.
Just
I mean,
permanent.
you go to the supervisors the next meeting, you go to the supervisor meeting, assuming you can get everything to start.
Okay,
If they approve your land development, then all you're waiting on is approval of your zoning permit, which they already have your plans and they will have your first page by that.
okay, so I
You
should
should
appear
be-
at the supervisors meeting on the 6th, on the 23rd.
You'll get notification.
Okay,
And yeah, I know it stinks, but that is how it is. We've had things come in, and when you're in a commercial property, and you're doing even small additions, the requirements seem pretty intense at times, but we've seen pretty small additions go on things that get land development. That's why I was shocked at the chicken place, because all they did was took the shell out. I mean, they didn't change the footprint at all, and then redid the building, the old Long John Silver's. They put that entire thing in, but they left all the block. That's how they did it. So all they needed was a building permit.
the
They
Popeyes.
did, yeah, Popeyes, yeah. When they did it, because I'm like, well, I don't
Seinfeld.
remember seeing them for land development, and then it was like, how I know why?
They
Because they
managed
did, all they did was gut everything and built off of the shell that was there.
no
They
addition.
didn't expand anything, didn't change parking, didn't do any of that.
Didn't
But
repair
we've
this.
had other ones where there was
Remind you that
tiny
somebody-
addition on there, and they have.
Didn't brace your
What was
sign
the-
up.
That's a city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that was the very most
Same thing,
recent
they
one.
just put in, we're just putting in a stairwell.
Yeah,
You could have put it in a basement. Now we've got buffer.
Yeah.
if you'd have gone up.
Put a crow's nest stuff on the roof. All sorts of, well, that's why we have a couple accessory buildings, because that route was a little bit.
There's no room for offices.
We really, there would be, but we really don't want to be in the back of it. Yeah, I know, we thought of that.
You do the track one.
Sure, yeah.
Long time.
So if you pick up some business while you're here, it doesn't feel that bad. Get something out of it.
I was gonna ask if any of you guys needed on.
Need anything done?
Yeah.
We actually do.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion. to adjourn.
All right,
I will second that motion.
all right, we are.
So the next meeting's the first or the eighth?
First.